Hey friends, sorry for the awkward pause for a few seconds, but hi everyone, I hope that you guys are doing great. I appear to be live on my end. I'm not sure if the machine is updating. Okay, cool, it is. That's perfect, I just checked. So, hi everyone. For those of you who don't follow me on Twitter, and there are a handful of subscribers who don't, I have been traveling these last couple of weeks. And specifically, I was in Puerto Rico 2 weeks ago, and then I was in Greensboro this past week. And being in Greensboro is a little bit bittersweet for me because for those of you who don't know me, for those of you who aren't members of the fam squad, so to speak, I am from Greensboro, at least as far as I can be from any particular town. Greensboro, North Carolina, for anyone curious. And I was there to get job offers and to do interviews and all that fun stuff because I am thinking of moving back to Greensboro. Right now, I live and work primarily in DC, but I sometimes go to the Virginia and North Carolina areas for things related to work. This isn't the first time I've been back to North Carolina since I left, but it is the first time that I've been to Greensboro. And that was really exciting. I was offered jobs in insurance sales, specifically health and life insurance. And it was definitely interesting going down there. I was there from Monday until Friday. And then I was in Puerto Rico just to spend time with family from Monday to Friday of the past week. So not this week that just ended, but the week before then. And that week I actually lost my cell phone and I found it. Kyle does live in NC. He actually lives in Greensboro, which is where I was. He and I first met each other when we were both in Greensboro, but since I have moved and since I'm not a member of the non sequitur show, I'm not particularly involved with that community. That is an interesting community. I like a lot of the content they create, and then there's some content that I just don't watch. I actually don't watch that many atheistic YouTubers. A lot of my focus is on other humanists and on people who create humanistic content. That said, I do love a good response video every once in a while. There are some response videos that are just top tier. And I don't disagree with that assessment that we're all members of non-sec deep down, because to me that feels like we're all members of nonsense. And yeah, I know that just deep down. Also, I don't know what's going on with my lighting. My lighting is really weird. But this is an interesting little live stream because this is the first time I'm ever doing a live stream that's mostly unplanned. That's not to say that I do a whole lot of planning for my other live streams. I generally don't. I have some notes that I take, and I am intending to talk about a topic in a streamlined way. And I do. I generally focus at the very least the first 30 to 40 minutes on any topic that I'm talking about. But this time, I'm just going to be talking about a whole bunch of different stuff. I'm really excited to be back in DC. I miss DC pretty much ever since I stopped working for the American Humanist Association at the very beginning of April. My weeks have been a little bit hectic, and it's been hectic in a good way. But now that I'm back here, and now that the school year is about to end, it's definitely an interesting time to be a little Luciano. I'm very excited to be done with all of that. I'm also very excited to be done with school almost, because I'm actually just about over halfway done with my master's degree, and my current semester ends in just 2 weeks. As a matter of fact, right after this, I'm going to go back to playing Fallout 4 and also working on a paper that's due on Sunday. I've already started it, and I've been working on videos. I've been working on a range of different videos, which is one of the other things I wanted to talk about in today's little live stream. And it's been very interesting, working on all the different things that I've been working on, because I've been writing articles for Patheos. I've been trying to get some drafts up to the point where I feel comfortable publishing them, because for those of you that don't know, I write for Patheos. I run the blog that's called Sin God, and I talk about Hispanic and Latinx humanism and atheism. And it's a really interesting topic. I really like talking about it, but for the last couple of months, I haven't been publishing a whole lot. And there are a range of reasons for that, but mostly because I've been trying to increase my quality as opposed to increasing the quantity of what I write. And I've noticed that that's actually been working out pretty well. I feel like, especially on Twitter, and if you don't follow me on Twitter, you really should. I have two different Twitter accounts. I have Luciano Writes and Luciano Joshua G1. Luciano Joshua G1 is a more focused one that's more professional, but Luciano Writes is where I share a lot of my sort of unfiltered thoughts. I've been talking about a lot of the things I'm going to be doing in videos over on Luciano Writes, and Luciano Writes is a Twitter account that I've had for like a long time. I've had it since I think 2016. I might be wrong. I might have had it since 2017, but I'm pretty sure it's been since 2016. And it's a neat little place for people to connect with me. I respond to DMs not super fast, and there's no real way to connect with me really quickly, which is quite unfortunate. I'm thinking of maybe starting over my Discord and trying again because I actually genuinely like the Discord that I have. It's just that for a range of reasons, I'm not super active on it. And I know a lot of people in our community are fond of Discords, and so am I. I'm not a big fan of there's an airplane coming right over me, and knowing my luck, it can probably be heard really cleanly in the audio, but hopefully it can't. I'm hoping my microphone isn't that good. But I really like Discord. I know a lot of people really like Discord. It's just that like I am not particularly active on Discord, which is unfortunate. And I tweet a decent amount, but I don't actually like respond to DMs particularly fast, which is something that it's kind of unfortunate because sometimes people want to talk to me and sometimes people even want to be friends with me, which is a weird concept to me. I'm not particularly social, so I don't like talk about that. So I don't talk about like me a whole lot, which is part of the reason why this is a little bit of a quirky live stream for me to talk about like my personal life, even in the remote context that like my career is, I guess my personal life is definitely an interesting thing to do. I also really like how people are just talking about rabbits in in the side chat. It's beautiful. Y'all are a wonderful community. I'm very happy to have the community that I have. I'm also like really excited because this is the first time I've live streamed since I hit 300 subs. And then I was like at 300 and almost 350 for like a couple of weeks. And then I just sort of skyrocketed past it. I actually didn't know why I skyrocketed past it fully. I had like a couple of working theories. I've now kind of begun to understand why. It turns out one of my videos got almost 1,000 views, and it was a video from a long time ago. It was the video that I made back when I was living in Greensboro talking about the Federal Republic of Central America. And I've low-key been working on like new videos in that same area. I've been working on the scripts and like trying to get something that I feel like proud of out before super long, and people started commenting on it, which made me realize there's so many planes today, y'all. So many planes. I live in an Air Force base, so like I can't really complain. But that was just another plane. That one you could probably hear. I wouldn't know if you can hear it. I'm gonna watch this back later and I'm gonna see if you can, especially because I react very dramatically to these planes, apparently. But I'm working on different videos talking about different aspects of the Federal Republic of Central America, as well as talking about news from Honduras, because the first time I started to do any serious YouTube stuff was when I was working on the Honduras Report, which is a newspaper that's technically still mine. I haven't really done anything with it, which is also kind of unfortunate, that talks about news from Honduras. And in it, I translate news from Spanish to English. It's actually really neat. I really like. Cool. I'm glad that you guys could hear it and that you guys didn't just think I was going insane. That's nice. Also, thanks for just sort of giving me little like affirmations in the comments. Really appreciate that, y'all. But yeah, so like back in the day, back before I was super serious on YouTube, and I've actually been on YouTube since not quite the beginning of YouTube, but not super long after YouTube got started. My first account on YouTube dates back to like early 2010. And that was a very long time ago, back when Objectively Subjective was Godless Iowa, and they shared my old YouTube channel, and my current girlfriend also shared my YouTube channel. And that was because they were like teasing me because, among other things, I have covers on that. And also, more heckin' planes. Listen, Air Force, can you not for 2 seconds? I'm gonna need you to tone it down, sirs. But yeah, I had a YouTube channel back in the day, and there are people who have found it. I know that some people like jokingly subscribe to it. So it randomly got like a whole bunch of increases in subscribers a couple of weeks ago. And it's because people were sharing it, which I thought was fun because it's proof that like I've been on YouTube forever. A lot of people don't believe me when I say that I've been on YouTube for a while because like my current channel only dates back to either 2016 or 2017. And I'm quite excited about the audience I've managed to get in that fairly short period of time. I genuinely like creating content and putting it up on YouTube. I also really like the art of mastering lighting, so I'm gonna try and experiment because my lighting, I'm looking at myself so that way I can make sure that none of my like facial expressions or hand motions are super distracting. I'm trying to work on that more, but I'm gonna see if I can like increase the lighting. I don't know if this is actually going to help. It really does. Holy cow. You guys can also super tell that this is definitely a very unorganized live stream, even compared to my usual ones, because like I'm actually like being semi-distracted by things for once. And for better or worse, one of my talents in my other live streams is like being relatively focused, especially by yourself. Being focused when you are the only person in a live stream and you're like looking at like chats is really hard. It takes like a certain level of skill. And it's something that I always tried to do because I've always done like live stream style videos and I've always recorded myself via live stream. So I didn't really have opportunities to like mess it up. My other channel, also, I know my face is dark. I don't understand. Like, get a mirror on my desk to reflect the sunlight back at my face. That probably would help. I don't know where I could find a mirror that's like small enough that I could do that. Let me see if moving. That doesn't help. I like it's hard. It's hard. Like lighting is one of the things that drives me crazy. And I would think that like as far as I can tell, that's probably one of the worst things that I do in terms of videos. I know a lot of people who would argue that I do a lot of bad things on my videos, but a lot of those things would be like, we don't like your content. And that's not super productive criticism. That's not super constructive criticism. It's just like you create things that I don't like, which is different than like, hey, this is a thing you need to work on. Lighting is absolutely a thing I need to work on. I would argue that for the most part, audio quality is probably something I need to work on. My microphone has been giving me somewhat quirky audio quality lately, and that's unfortunate because I just got this microphone like in February. So I would have hoped that it would have lasted longer than this because my other microphone lasted like a full year and it lasted the move from Greensboro to DC, which was really impressive. And I can get a cheaper ring light. Hashtag, can you message me later where you got yours? Because honestly, I would really like that. I think that's something that would actually help. Also, I have a camera stand. One of those things that I don't know what the word is. One of the things that you like put your camera on and I block the window. I opened the window because like the lighting, the reason I opened the window Doc was because the lighting was like super orange and that's because one of my light bulbs is down, so the lighting isn't like super evenly dispersed. I have one of those chandelier lights where it's like 4 different light bulbs. Could you turn to face the window and position your camera on the window still? Then the light would be maybe, but I have to move my, if I understand what you're saying correctly, I'd have to move my desk, which is not the easiest thing. That would work. My house would burn down. But that would work, Smitty. That's A1 advice, just not good given the context. Um, such a supportive audience, guys. So I feel so supported and affirmed. I appreciate every single one of you. I actually really do. I really like doing like these sorts of little chat things because it's definitely something that like helps people understand me more as a person, because for the most part my videos tend to skew analytical and they tend to skew like very neutral. You don't often get to see my personality in a lot of my videos, which is something I really like changing. And I've noticed that like a lot of people really enjoy my videos where I actually let my personality shine. Um, okay, so Mark, it's not true that I'm super poor. I'm moderately poor, and I probably can't afford to buy a new light bulb. I don't know how to change it. So I'm a millennial. We're not supposed to know things. At least that's what like everyone who's not a millennial constantly tells me that. So you know what? Yeah. I actually do want to get like I do want to get like a ring light and like more professional stuff. I also want to get a green screen. I want to get a green screen eventually at some point in the nearish future. I think that would be really neat, especially because I know a little bit of video editing. I know a very tiny amount. So I think that that would be like useful for me to have. And also because some people want me to help them edit videos. What a lot of people want to do, which surprises me, is a lot of people want me to help them with podcast stuff. And I think it's because I myself am super interested in podcasts. I know the basics of podcast stuff. And I also used to do a podcast that a decent number of people actually watched called the Benito Juarez Experience. Right now, I'm working on a podcast with Anna. I'm working on another podcast that I can't go super into details of called the Millennial Project. And that's with a good friend of mine who lives in Australia. And then I'm working on another podcast that's going to be coming out in the near future. And that one's probably going to be pretty short. I'm only thinking that it's going to be like a few episodes long. And I'm super excited for that one. There's some folks here who know a little bit about that podcast. If you think you do, you probably do. That's a podcast that I'm going to be talking about more in the future. Some of the interesting stuff that happened when I was gone was actually that I got asked to join the presidential campaign of Mike Gravel. And I'm working on a video about that. That's one of the things that I'm super excited to be working on. Mike Gravel, for those of you who don't know, is a hyper left, at the very least, in American politics. So by hyper left, he's not very far to the left, but he's a super cool former Democratic senator from Alaska. He's running for president in the sense that like he wants to get up on the debate stage. He wants to show the presidential candidates the popularity of actual left-wing policies. And it's really neat being a part of that campaign. I am officially joining probably as of Monday. And I've also been emailing other folks who are involved in campaigns and trying to get involved in more campaigns because I want to run for office. And I want to run for office like in the near future, in the next, probably in less than 6 years. I was thinking that if I moved back to Greensboro, I would start prepping to try. Oh no, I'm sorry that I killed your confidence in humanity. Might be. Apparently, I killed myself and your confidence in humanity. You know, in video game language, that would be called a double kill, and I'd get like an achievement for it. My gamer score on Xbox 360 just went through the roof, guys. But I'm very excited to be back working with like politics and stuff again because I actually used to be working on political campaigns back when I lived in Greensboro. I was involved with a handful of different candidates across the state of North Carolina. And I'm trying to get back into that sort of work because that sort of work is actually really interesting. Cool, thanks. Really appreciate that, Casey. Also, I hope that you're doing well. I'm super excited that so many people are watching. But I am working on a video about Mike Gravel, which is going to be coming out. I'm not going to say it's going to be coming out over this weekend, but it will be coming out before Wednesday at the very latest because I'm still going to be sort of chilling this week. I'm still waiting on work stuff. I got job offers in Greensboro, but there's a handful of jobs that I want to hear back from before I make like any sort of serious, potentially life-changing decisions. And moving back to Greensboro, it wouldn't be a super life-changing decision, but moving to some of the places that I'd really like to. I appreciate the looking out, Mark. Thanks, Bam. Mark's being sarcastic. In case anyone in the comments doesn't know him, don't eat him alive. He's fine. He's a cool dude. You and I are cool. But yeah, also I tried to learn how to tie a tie using YouTube because I used to work in a hotel in Greensboro, and it required wearing a tie, the position that I had, because I was a receptionist. And every day I went into work. I went into work there for about a month and a half. Almost every day I went into work, I would have to have a friend of mine help me with the tie. And it's because I tried to use YouTube. YouTube is a teaching tool that exists. I'm not going to say it's a high quality one. It's really not. But I'm really excited to be back here making videos because I actually did try making videos when I was in North Carolina. I had my microphone with me. I had my computer with me. I was excited. I sat down. I started recording audio. And partially because the way the room was designed, and also partially just because of like my microphone being a little bit quirky right now, I wasn't able to record any audio that I could actually use, which was unfortunate and frustrating. I'm going to start trying to make videos maybe a little bit faster, but if I decide that like I can make super high quality things, if I'm one of those YouTubers who makes a video once a month, I'll probably do like irreligious content a couple of times a month, and then maybe like bigger videos once or twice a month. I'm also still working on like asexuality time, or asexuality o'clock, which is it's a horrible name for a YouTube series, but it's actually a really fun concept. I really like that concept, and that video that I made on asexuality is actually one of my favorite videos that I've ever made. And it's definitely a video where like my content and my personality actually really shines through. It's so great. I know for a fact another asexuality time video is going to be coming out before next Saturday. So before the D&D lads get back together and actually do more D&D stuff, because in case anyone's curious, D&D this week is going to be the Hordes of the Dragon Queens people, and Lost Minds of Philandian, or however it's said, is next week. We decided not to do anything last week because for some reason, Doc's message that I approved just now, ties suck, I hate them, was held for review. I have no idea why that is. That doesn't make any sense to me. There's nothing wrong with that language. I'm assuming that the word suck somehow just like got auto-filtered. But also, I really like the word lads. I feel like it's unfortunate that most people are just like, oh, are you trying to be British if you say the word lads? Because honestly, like, lads is one of my favorite greetings. I just really like that word. I think it's dope. But I'm super excited to be back here. I'm super excited to be making videos. I also know what I'm going to be doing with my character now. I'm not going to like spoil anything, but if you follow me on Twitter, I was in a conversation with Zarlok Chaos where I talk about like what I want to do with my barbarian. In case you don't watch Alignment Unknown, you absolutely should. Alignment Unknown is Alignment Unknown. Alignment Unknown is a YouTube channel that's run by Godless Cranium. It's Godless Cranium's D&D YouTube channel. And over there, they post both the campaign that I, Essence of Thoughts, Zarya 2000, Inane Dragon, Aided Furball, and Godless Cranium are in, as well as another campaign that involves another group of folks. I haven't actually had time to sit down and watch that one, so I don't know who all is in it. But I know that Godless Cranium and Inane Dragon are in it. I don't know if there's anyone else who's in both. But I, over on our campaign, used to play someone by the name of Oliver Stonefist, who died very early. He lived a very short life. He was a very sad lad. And then I created a new character named Kriv. And Kriv is dope. He's a Dragonborn barbarian. I am very much a fan of Kriv and his just barbarianness, because with Oliver, what I wanted to do was I wanted to create a character who was super peaceful and was super into like mediating conflicts. I also actually had a chance to end a conflict, one of the first ones that we were in, and one of the last ones that we were in before my character met a very unfortunate end. But that was really neat. That was a lot of super role-playing stuff, and I genuinely enjoyed that. But the way I played the character was just so insanely violent that it almost seemed to contradict the way that I wanted to play the character. It didn't in my mind, but in other people's minds, they were just like, hey, you should play a barbarian. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do that. That sounds like fun. So I created Crib, and Crib is just, he's just an absolute unit of destruction. It's wonderful. I am a big fan of barbarians now. I actually wasn't before I started playing this like session of D&D, this little campaign. I didn't really care for barbarians, but now that I've experienced their wonderful rage firsthand, I am a convert. I'm probably going to do different stuff related to D&D because, in case anyone doesn't remember, way back when I made a video, not way back when, but I made a video a couple of months ago, I think in like February, where I did a sort of proof of concept of exploring historical events through the lens of D&D, and people actually enjoyed it. And it was also like a really fun video that I got to let my personality shine in a little bit. I like doing that sort of content because I find that I don't really like making super analytical stuff. I don't really like making hyper objective, boring videos. I really do like being entertaining, or at the very least, being what I imagine entertaining is. I watch my old videos to make sure that there's no mistakes or anything. And when I watch them, I enjoy them, especially the videos where I really let my personality shine through. And I'm not saying anyone else does. I don't know why people watch the content I create. It's genuinely a mystery to me, but it seems like other people enjoy some of the videos I make. And I'm super excited for that sort of stuff. I'm super excited to see my audience grow. I'm also super excited to be working on like new series and new things because I have fun creating stuff for YouTube. I really like sharing the things that I share. And I enjoy watching what other people create. I spend a lot of time in my day on YouTube. In fact, before I went to Greensboro, if you checked out the screen time notification on my iPad, which is just like, it used to be really bad, but part of the reason it was really bad is that I'd fall asleep watching YouTube videos. What I would do is I'd watch Last Week Tonight on YouTube, and that really surprises a lot of people, but I just like having a good laugh before I go to sleep. So as I'm like laying down, in bed, I'll go onto YouTube and then I'll fall asleep watching either some more news or Last Week Tonight. So basically news stuff. I fall asleep watching like comedians take on those sorts of topics. And that's part of the reason my like screen time notification on my iPad used to be like 12 something hours a day. When I went to Puerto Rico, when I went to Greensboro, I stopped doing that, partially because the Wi-Fi in both of the hotels was subpar at best, but especially in Greensboro, what they did, I really like the hotel I stayed in, but you guys, they really tried to like rip people off in the Wi-Fi, which sucks for someone like me who's not only a YouTuber, but is also a digital grad student. So I like actually really need the internet, not just to be entertained, but also so that I can like turn in assignments. What happened was that they had free Wi-Fi, which was like some of the slowest Wi-Fi on earth. And then they had Wi-Fi that was enhanced. And if you paid $4 a night, you'd get it for 24 hours from whenever you paid for it. But since I was in Greensboro, basically my hometown, I made plans to like hang out with friends and to go back to my college campus and to just sort of chill out. So I never did that. So whenever I got home, I'd basically have little to no Wi-Fi, which kind of sucked. I was able to do stuff online. I was able to see people's Twitters. I was able to send out messages and stuff. That was basically it. I couldn't watch YouTube videos. I couldn't go on Hulu or Netflix, not unless I wanted to spend an hour watching a 5-minute long video, which sucked. That's a slight exaggeration. Not as much of an exaggeration as you probably think it is. That's unfortunate. But I originally wanted to talk about like news in this little live stream. That didn't happen. The live stream's almost over, but I am gonna say that one of my favorite things yesterday, I'm only gonna be live streaming until maybe 4:40. I'm not gonna be live streaming much longer than this. Also, hey Alias, I hope that you're having a good day. Excited to see you here. Some of the news I wanted to talk about was Joe Biden's announcement. I don't really care for Joe Biden. I'm not going to vote for him in the primary. But I thought it was really cool that Anita Hill refused his apology, which surprises a lot of people. Over on Twitter yesterday, I tweeted about that a lot as I was like heading home. I think it's really neat whenever people refuse an apology, especially a like politically convenient one, because the only reason that Biden apologized, and Biden, I'm not saying Biden's a bad person, but I am saying that he did this for the sake of political convenience because he did. That's just a fact. Regardless of whether or not you like him, I think we can all agree that the only reason he apologized was because he was about to announce. And he apologized. I thought it was pretty badass of Anita Hill to say that she wasn't accepting that apology. I read all of the tweets and all of that stuff. I thought that was like really cool. I read news articles that talked about that. I very much appreciated that someone actually refused an apology in such a public way, because apologies have this certain level of political power. And I am going to be making a video talking about political apologies. I'm going to be making a couple of different videos over the course of the next 9 days. And one of them is a video talking about apologies. That was what I wanted to do today. That video is not going to be done today. Just a heads up. But there's a certain level of power that comes with an apology, even a subpar one, because our society is very much obsessed with appearances and with people looking to change, and also with policing anger. So if someone offers an apology, no matter how half-hearted or no matter how shitty that apology is, people are compelled to accept it. And the fact that someone in such a public way said that that wasn't enough was a great thing. I think that even if you like Joe Biden, I think that we can all agree. And also, I'm excited by the fact that no one in my audience likes Joe Biden. That's good. I was like testing the waters because I don't like him. I have no intentions of voting for a centrist in the primary. I will in the general if that's what it takes. But also, like, Biden, is he really a centrist? I don't know if we could even really call him a centrist. And I'm not someone who normally peddles the like either dinos, Democrats in name only, or the rhinos, Republicans in name only. But like if you look at his voting record, it is kind of difficult to say that he's a Democrat in any substantive way. Joe Manchin has a similar problem. Joe Manchin is West Virginia, for those of you who don't know. He's not super well known among people who aren't into politics, but like if you have any level of political knowledge, any level of political interest, you probably know who he is. But yeah, I agree with Smitty. I would definitely label Joe Biden a conservative. That's my take. If you have a different take, you're free to have it. You're still welcome on my channel. I have no intention of banning or censoring anyone, at the very least not for this. I have limits. Don't like, I know that there's some people who are always inclined to like try and find out people's limits on YouTube. Don't be one of those people. But I don't enjoy stopping people from watching my content. I like having a wide-ranging audience because I think it's important that YouTube channels be open, at least to some extent. But I do have limits. No one here has tried to test those limits on me. Some of the people here have tried to test the limits of some of my other friends. It's frustrating. Don't do that. Don't be the people who test the limits. Don't be the people who make things harder for other people. Just enjoy the content that's being seen, or disagree with the content respectfully, because there are lots of people. I made a video a couple weeks ago wherein some of the people were like they were disagreeing with me, some of them respectfully, some of them not so respectfully, and I still let them on my like channel. You can still go and find it. It was my video on neutrality versus objectivity. I had a very productive discussion with one of the people in it, and then I didn't really feel like responding to the other comment because the other comment didn't really have anything substantive to say. And if you want to engage with it, you can. If you're interested, I probably will link that once I'm done with this live stream. I'll probably go into the comments in this video and just like link it in. But I made a video talking about Chris Evans, like a starting point thing, which is this political project of his where he wants to allow politicians to explain their views and the views of their parties on certain key issues. I think that's a good idea. I said I thought that was a good idea in my video, but I then proceeded to criticize it, and some people heard the criticisms. more than they heard me saying that I thought that was a good idea, which is fair. The video is definitely focused on the criticisms more so than me thinking that like it was a good idea. I understand why it is that people focused on that, but some people were not fans of that video, and they very much let me know. And then there were other people who were just like, "Hey, I have like a minor disagreement," and I think that the person who I engaged with thought that his disagreement was more major than it actually was. His disagreement was more on like this was more like my style than my substance. When it came to substance, we functionally agreed a lot more than we disagreed, and we had a very nice chat. I don't remember this person's name because in the last 2 weeks I haven't really been on YouTube since I've been traveling so much. There's a lot of videos I really need to catch up on. There's a lot of stuff that's happening, even on Twitter, that I'm just like, I have no idea what the full context for this is. That's really frustrating because I'm seeing people have these huge disagreements. It stopped now, but when I was in Greensboro, it was still going on that people were having these like big disagreements, and I had no real idea what the context was because I had been in Puerto Rico the past week. But yeah, I'm having a lot of fun. I am going to be doing Saturday live streams more regularly, even on the weeks when I'm doing D&D with the lads. But I don't quite know what the structure of this is going to be. I might be having a co-host. I'm planning to have a co-host in some of these live streams and then not have a co-host in some of the other ones. It's probably going to be like Lavender Lady's live streams that she does on Sundays. I really like those live streams. It's unfortunate that I haven't been able to watch them in a while, but I really like the live streams that she does. And I think it's really neat to be doing these sorts of stuff like on the weekends. Also, good night, Doc. I hope that you have a great night. I'll see you soon. But I really like doing live streams, and it's been a while since I've done them. I am planning to continue, and I'm almost certainly going to be resuming my Monday night live streams starting this week. I don't think that I'm going to be containing them to peace and conflict studies topics anymore. I think that I'm just going to be doing them about like certain key issues. And I'm working on judging justice, which I announced, and then so many different things happened. The main news topic I really wanted to talk about today was Pete Buttigieg. I have no idea how to say his last name, and I don't want to pronounce it. But the comments that he made on Tuesday, which were such nonsense about how if you are an incarcerated felon, you shouldn't be able to vote. And I understand that saying that that's a nonsensical opinion is an edgy opinion, but you guys know me. You know that I advocate for nuanced positions, even in terms of politics. And the main reason that this is such nonsense is that if you are in some states, you can be considered a felon for having marijuana. And in 2019, can we really say that having a thank you, Casey. Booty check. I have heard other people say it in a way that's similar to that. So that probably is the way that it's said. But I definitely lean closer to Bernie Sanders' position that no matter if you are in prison or not, and no matter if you're incarcerated or not, you should be able to vote. I'm willing to have a conversation about like certain positions and about the need for certain nuances in this, but I think we should all be able to agree that at the very least in some crimes and in some felonies, even if you are an incarcerated person, you should be able to vote. If your crime was having marijuana, and that's one of the easiest examples I can think of because it's something that pretty much everyone agrees that even if you think having a bag of marijuana is something that you shouldn't do, a so-called dime bag is the way that AOC referred to that the other day. I think we can all agree that even if you're in prison and your thing was holding a bag of marijuana, you should be able to vote. Your voting rights should not be stripped away from you, especially because what you did, if you were in, say, Arizona, where any level of marijuana is enough to charge you with a felony, versus being in California, where you can just have marijuana. In California, California is one of the few states, because not even all states that have legalized it have actually decriminalized possession. But in California, and I might be wrong about this, I'm going to do a fact check on myself after just to be sure, but I was writing an article, and I am writing an article, it's in the process of being edited, that makes a stronger, more affirmative case for this, that talks about the fact that it's complete and utter nonsense to have the position that, like, no matter what crime you did, if you are in prison as opposed to being in jail, you should be able to vote or you shouldn't be able to vote. That's a really frustrating thing. Also, people in jails, for the most part, can vote. A lot of people in jails can vote, even people who've been found guilty and are serving time. It's really weird. I understand that that's a really unintuitive point of view, but part of the reason why this frustrates me so much is that people conflate the discussion of, like, you can be a felon and vote or you can't be a felon and vote with the conversations needed to be like, hey, we need criminal justice reform and we need uniformity across the states about how we should be treating criminals, especially because, like, we don't really have that. We don't have the needed sort of uniformity. We don't have the sort of accurate. There's a lot of different things that we can talk about when it comes to this, with some of the bigger things being the fact that the ways the laws are enforced are very often targeted against people of color and immigrants, and some crimes are targeted against queer people. Like, if you are a queer person who's a sex worker, you are statistically more likely to go to prison for that. And also, you're statistically more likely to do certain types of things that may or may not be illegal if you are queer. I know that a lot of queer people are sex workers and are survival level sex workers, which the term for which that not all sex workers are fans of are, these are the people who are street walking. As in, these are the people who are going out and, I guess, working the corner. You shouldn't be using that sort of conversation. You shouldn't be using that sort of language in conversations with actual sex workers. There are reasons that are too complex and nuanced for this type of live stream that I could go into that talk about that. But that's one of the reasons to consider the various ways that the criminal justice system is just bad in this country, which is actually one of the key reasons why I'm working on a series called Judging Justice, where I talk about the effectiveness of the justice system in a range of different respects. And I also talk about the history behind it. I'm very excited for that series. That series became a lot more relevant after Mayor Pete made those comments. And I know some people are going to be annoyed that I called him Mayor Pete. They're going to think it's disrespectful. It's mostly because I don't want to mispronounce his last name. I feel like mispronouncing his last name would be more disrespectful, even if it's done unintentionally, than just saying Mayor, his first name. But his comments were complete and utter bullshit. They were bad. They were dumb. In 2019, we should not have opinions that blunt and that fucking stupid about the criminal justice system. And I know that me, like, cussing in my own live streams isn't super common, but that's just a sign of how strong I feel about this, because the only way we should ever be trying to make that sort of argument, we shouldn't, even if we had the perfect criminal justice system. But the thing about these comments is that even in the actual comments, Mayor Pete himself recognized that there is a racist history in this country when it comes to criminal justice. And he still said that with the way the system is now, he still thinks that if you are in prison, you shouldn't be able to vote. And the thing is, once again, a lot of people in jails can vote, y'all. It's perfectly legal for a ton of different people in jails across the country to vote. If you're an incarcerated felon, you can't vote in most states, but there's 2 states where you can vote even in prisons. That's Maine and Vermont. And of course, one of them would be Vermont. We all know, whether you like him or not, we all know our boy Bernie Sanders. We all know that this is something that he would be fighting for. And it's actually not something he would be able to change in his current position, even if he wanted to, one way or another, because he's not actually someone who can change the state level legislation. He can only change the national legislation. And even then, it's not like he can do it all by himself. But our boy Bernie was right when he was talking about the need for criminal justice reform. And I would argue that he was right. So Mark brought up a really good point. Can they get to the polling station? So in the United States, there's absentee ballots and mail ballots. And also, some prisons actually do serve as polling places. A lot of people don't know this, but there actually are some prisons. And for some reason in this country, a whole lot of polling places are churches. I think that this is probably more common in the South than it is in the North. but like every single voting place I've been to, even in DC, is in a church. I don't know what that's about. Also, Wonder Lady asked a really good question just now. Do they still get to vote when transferred to a private prison in another state? Generally, my understanding of this is that if you were charged with a crime in one state and you lived in the state, you had an address in that state, and you were jailed, one, you generally wouldn't be going out of state. There are exceptions to this here and there, but generally that's not a thing that would happen if you were serving time for a misdemeanor. But if that was a thing that happened to you and you were in a state that allowed people in prisons to vote, you would probably still be able to get an absentee ballot. That's my understanding. Not a lawyer, not an expert in this. I'm going to be doing some of the research, so it's possible I'm wrong. And if I'm wrong, that's cool. There are a lot of times when I say stuff that's just not going to be correct, and I'm going to do my best to go back later on. And if I'm wrong about anything I said in this particular video, I will do my best to acknowledge that explicitly and correct it in a future video in Judging Justice. But it is really important. It is really important that people understand that incarcerated people have rights, and also that incarcerated people deserve certain rights. And I would argue that for the most part, I'm willing to have a discussion about the finer details of this, but I think that the vast majority of people who are incarcerated felons deserve to vote. And it's really important that we actually have a conversation about this. I'm going to be doing a live stream maybe tomorrow. This might be the topic for Monday's live stream, depending on how I'm feeling about it tomorrow. But I will be talking about this explicit conversation in detail in a future video. And I'm going to stop doing the Friday night policy live streams. I'm going to start doing those on Monday whenever I don't feel like doing a peace and conflict studies live stream, because sometimes I just don't feel like doing a peace and conflict studies live stream. You guys feel me. We've all been there. We all do. At the very least, those of us who actually make YouTube videos, and nothing against the people who don't, because honestly, making YouTube video, it's a difficult thing to do. A lot of people want to say that it's super easy, but there's a lot of time and energy and details that go into making a YouTube video. If you don't want to do that, I don't blame you. I really like YouTube. I'm someone who's lucky enough to have a video camera, to have video editing software, to know the basics of how to do it, and also to have the time needed to do it, because I know a lot of folks who want to do YouTube who just don't have the time, even if they have all the equipment, and they want to create content that's high quality. They don't just want to create filler content and stuff. And sometimes I create filler content, but the thing is, sometimes people like the filler content I create, which always surprises me. A video of mine that was very well received was the video of the person who was talking to himself, and it was the homophobe and the person who wasn't homophobic. That was actually a very well received video that I made that a lot of people liked, and that was completely filler. I had a way different topic in mind, and then I'm all right, the video that I wanted to make, I'm not doing a good job at, and it's an important enough topic that I don't want to do a subpar job on it, and I'm just going to create something else. And that was exactly what happened, which was very neat. I'm super happy with that end result. And Smitty is right. The arguments from people who okay, I'm going to read the comment word for word. I was going to try to paraphrase and it wasn't working. Smitty says, I could see an argument for people who undermine the democracy itself, losing their right to participate, like war criminals and corrupt politicians. That's something that I kind of agree with. It's part of the reason why I don't necessarily advocate for Bernie Sanders' exact positions, but Bernie Sanders' position's way more correct than Mayor Pete's was. It was just such a bad argument, y'all. Also, bye, Casey. I hope to see you again soon, maybe on Monday night. Hope you have a wonderful day/night. See you around. I do my best to acknowledge people just in the actual live stream. I'm going to see what's going on I'm starting to lose my train of thought now, so I'm gonna start to wrap this up. But I'm really excited to be back in DC. I don't know how long I'm gonna be in DC, because if I take any of the jobs that I really want, or any of the jobs that I've been offered, I probably would be moving, and that's an interesting thing to think about. I would like to be back in Greensboro, but also I want like a job that I'm super comfortable with. And the jobs that I've been offered with, I have concerns that I'm going to be getting answered one way or another in the next couple of days. I'm also just genuinely excited to be back creating content again. It's so nice to be back in my own home, in my own space. And also, it's really nice to be able to engage with the audience this way. I genuinely like doing live streams. Also, people have said that I am able to not look nervous doing live streams by myself, which is apparently a skill that a lot of people have. I guess it's because I got my start on like semi-serious YouTube videos by just live streaming by myself and knowing that I couldn't afford to make a mistake. So I just sort of gained the skills needed to look calm and to feel moderately relaxed as anyone can, doing the craziness that is live streaming by themselves. And anyone who's ever done a solo live stream will tell you that like it ain't easy. It's just not. And there's some people who do it in a way that feels to me like it would be slightly easier, where like they just have their audio on and not their like camera on. But I don't know if that's actually easier. I feel like if anything that might be harder, because then like the silences would be more pronounced. I feel like the moments when you're not talking, it would be far more noticeable because there's nothing else going on. At the very least, when I stop talking and I'm like thinking, you guys can see the gears turning in my head. And I also have one of those faces that like when I'm thinking really hard about something, it's like really obvious. But I just genuinely enjoy live streaming. I'm going to get back into doing live streams. If for whatever reason I continue having a harder time making videos, it's possible I'll focus more on live streams because I really like being on YouTube and I want to be creating content here any way that I can. I want to do collaborations with people. I want to help out other content creators. I want to like share their content online. And also, I want to be making videos. And for me, live streaming is fun. It's just something that I genuinely enjoy doing. And I'm also really good friends with people like Wonder Lady, who is one of my closest friends, who does almost entirely live streams, and her channel is totally badass. I really like Wonder Lady's content, including the content that I'm not in. I check out as much of her videos as I can, and it's a lot of fun. Being in live streams is neat. I actually do recommend that people who've never done a live stream do one on their own channel. I would highly recommend that they have someone else on, because if you've never done a solo live stream, that can be one of the most nerve-wracking things in the world, especially if you're someone who's unlucky enough to be watching it like on YouTube on a computer live, because on a computer live, the updates happen in real time, so you can see the like likes and dislikes as they get updated. But on an iPad, which is normally what I watch it on, um, it doesn't, and that's actually really relaxing, because like what happens with that is you get one static number, and if you want to see the updates, you have to close it out and then you have to reopen it. Which, if you're doing it on your own channel, if you're watching your own live stream like how I do it, can be kind of difficult and annoying. But also, yes, Mark, YouTube is a type of training for my political aspirations. Not so much my live streams, and not so much the live streams that I'm on with Wonder Lady, but generally my other videos, the videos that are like pre-recorded and stuff. I would say that those are a type of training for my political aspirations. In case anyone doesn't know, I plan to run for office real soon. I mentioned that at the beginning of this live stream. Some people might have joined. Not going to talk a whole lot about that. I want to start off super small, probably like local level office, and then work my way up. I want to get all the experience. And that's actually something that I want a whole lot of. Also, I confirmed just now that I am going to be doing a live stream on this channel tomorrow. Not confirming the time yet. I'm going to be asking folks what time they would be able to hop on and like chat and stuff, because it's neat watching the chat, and that's actually something that helps relax me. When I like lose my train of thought, I can always just look to the chat for like stuff and to help me refocus. But I am going to be doing a live stream tomorrow about humanism, like congregational humanism, which is a topic that not a whole lot of people in YouTube are super familiar with. Congregational humanism, it's not unlike church spacing and church activism, but it's also like non-religious and stuff. It's neat. I've been working on it for like a while now. I think that what I'm gonna do today, rather than try to make new videos, is focus on what I want to talk about tomorrow, which is that. And I think that's gonna be neat. I hope that if you're here today, probably around this time, maybe a little bit later, I'm going to be doing a video, another live stream talking about that, because that's cool. I like that sort of thing. I am a proponent of a hashtag. I'm a proponent of congregational humanism because in my community, in the Hispanic and Latinx community, there are a decent number of people who really like the sort of spaces and sorts of communities offered by church. And they want church without like all of the religion aspects, which is fair. And I understand that for a lot of people, that's something that's kind of off-putting. I know that for a lot of white non-believers, that sort of community isn't really something that they need. But I also know that there's a decent number of African American humanists and Latinx humanists who feel a little bit differently about that. And I think that there are different reasons for that, all of which are fair. But especially for like the Latinx and the African American communities, churches have secular purposes. And it's really frustrating. That is a really annoying thing to have to deal with as a organizer of any sorts who is a non-theist from those communities. But it's true. And ultimately, if we're going to be effective at replacing church, if we're going to be effective at supplanting religion, and if we're going to be effective at just creating better communities in general, with or without churches, we need to learn from the good and the bads of churches. And I'm going to be talking about like Unitarian. Smitty mentioned them in the comment section. The Unitarian Church has a non-religious service. Universal Unitarianism is generally defined as a non-theistic religion, and there are definitely some Unitarian Universalists who are non-theistic. There are also some who are theistic. It differs from person to person. And there's also ethical society and ethical culture. Those are the two big ones that I have experience with, and I'm going to be talking about them tomorrow. I'm going to be talking about their history a little bit. I'm going to be talking about their like functional utility to non-theistic communities. And also, I really appreciated you guys coming on. This live stream has lasted for an hour. Did not think it was going to last for an hour. That was my B. Um, I'm going to go ahead and create the events. I might change the time. I might change the time that I'm going to do it, but it will be up. I'll be talking about it on Twitter a little bit for folks to come on down. I'll be inviting some of my friends who are from those communities, not necessarily to the chat, but I think I will have a future chat where I talk with them and enable them to talk to my audience. I think that'd be super cool. I'm just going to talk about my experience in those spaces and stuff. But I will see you all tomorrow. It's super great to be back, and I cannot wait for tomorrow's discussion. I really missed you guys, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow.